This was a difficult one to not only watch but review, to be completely honest with you. I'm talking about The Watch now. This is the BBC America series that landed about a week ago. I think it was on AMC first, on the 31st of January. It is directed by Craig Viveiros, who did last year's War of the Worlds. It was a three-part BBC documentary series. Well, it might be looking at 2020. Actually, it was 2019, that it came out. And that was painful to watch, to be completely honest with you. I really disliked it. The pacing was completely off. The content was weird as hell and didn't mesh with what the whole point of the War of the Worlds is. And I thought, okay, no, that's not so well put together. So he's now directing The Watch, which is based on some of the best books of Terry Pratchett, and he was my favorite author of all time. So he is the director of the show, and Simon Allen wrote this. Okay, so it's 8 parts of the first season. Now, I, as a critic, try to appreciate the fact that content will change when it's moving from source A to source B. Looking at Lord of the Rings, for example, a lot of things were changed, a lot of things were left out. I think one of the biggest changes when I first heard about Lord of the Rings, by Peter Jackson, of course, was that fact that Frodo was, 18 years old? At least that's how old Elijah Woods was, whereas in the book he was about 50 years old, but hobbits lived to like 200 years old anyway, so it means nothing. So this content has been changed quite drastically. Beloved characters have been left out completely. Nobby's nowhere to be seen. We have characters that were supposed to be dwarves, like Cherry, suddenly 6'2", characters identifying as a woman. Cherry took a while to get there. And there's a whole reason behind that, because it was a social critique and also a critique on classic fantasy. That's what Terry Pratchett does. So having a character who's 6'2" say that they identify as a dwarf because dwarves come in different sizes, shapes and sizes, no, that's not the whole point of why dwarves in fantasy are like that. So that's an update, and it feels like an update that was shoehorned in there to appease, I suppose, what many people who don't like this new movement is called the woke crowd. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that yet. I think the actor, I think they did a very good job with this, and I say they because I believe that the actor is non-binary. So Cherry was not done particularly well. I didn't really like that. We then have Vimes, and when I saw the first trailer, I thought to myself, why is Vimes suddenly channeling Loki from Vikings? And basically, in the first episode, he has more twitches. This is from Trevor. He has more twitches than every movie installment of the Pirates of the Caribbean by Johnny Depp. He's constantly twitching and whatnot, which just doesn't make sense. It completely ruins the character. And I think there's a very beautiful sentence by Neil Gaiman, actually. I'm just going to try and pull it up now so I don't get it wrong. When he's describing what this show, what The Watch looks like as far as the original content, he describes it as, if Batman is now a news reporter in a yellow trench coat with a pet bat. That would be the original content. Sorry, what we're looking at right now compared to the original content. And I kind of get that. I do agree. It is very different. And there are going to be a lot of pissed off people. Rhianna Pratchett herself has distanced herself from it, saying that this show has no DNA from the original content of her father. I disagree with that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of DNA in here. And winks to fans of the franchise. And this is what leads me to the sort of conflict I'm having right now. If you are someone who has never read Terry Pratchett, firstly, shame on you. Go out there and read them. Secondly, if you have never read any of his stuff, you might find this quite entertaining. And I can't disagree with that. I say that that's not true. I am coming from a lens, or using a lens, of someone who's very passionate about Terry Pratchett. And so my eyes were rolling even over silly things that I would have usually found entertaining. And I can't deny that that is the case. My bias is too deep for me to accept that there is no bias. It certainly is there. I did laugh at a couple of moments in the first episode. I thought that a lot of the jokes fell flat. That might just be because I was raging at what I was watching. One thing I did like, though, is that it's filmed in Cape Town, where I'm from. In fact, they used the University of Cape Town, where I was educated and worked for a short while. And they also filmed in a local derelict supermarket or complex, which is about 5 minutes from where I used to live. So that was quite nice seeing that kind of thing. They also featured the Paarl Monument, which is an Afrikaans monument in Paarl, just outside Cape Town. So that was quite nice seeing that kind of thing. But the reason that I'm so confused about the show, and I'm not quite sure what to say about it, is that if you don't know what Terry Pratchett is and you watch this, I'm not certain that it's going to be enough for you to really enjoy, because there are so many nods and winks to content from the books that if you don't know that, you'll be wondering why he's trying to piss on a dog, why the dog's talking. It's just going to miss you. It's going to go right over your head. And I think as someone who doesn't know Terry Pratchett, a lot of this stuff is going to fly way over your head. You're going to wonder why there's imps inside small cameras painting pictures when they're using a torch. That weird fusion, as I mentioned earlier, of having punk and steampunk and electricity in an era where this is supposed to be set during fantasy times. Also, another thing I noticed that was changed quite considerably is that Ankh-Morpork is located in the middle of a desert. We all know that the Stolap Plains, at least if you've read the books, is what surrounds the city and feeds the city. So that was probably done because of budgetary concerns anyway. But yeah, again, so you have this sort of group of people who probably won't get what the hell's going on and won't appreciate it because it makes no sense to them. And then you'll get the people who are trying to watch it or maybe carry on watching it who do know what's going on, and they'll be the ones that rage at the content that's changed. I understand changing things because of lack of I don't know, representation, but changing a character like Lord Vetinari, always pronouncing it completely bloody wrong, but changing it from a guy that is described so perfectly well in the books to a woman who looks nothing like him, certainly wasn't as imposing as some of the iterations that we've seen in the past, and I was like, why? Why did we need to do that? So yeah, I was a bit confused by this. I really don't know what to make of it. I didn't enjoy it because, like I say, I'm biased, and I can't again deny that I'm biased, and again I just don't see how this is going to be appreciated. It's not doing particularly well on Rotten Tomatoes and stuff. I think it's sitting on 58%, and IMDb it's like 4.8. Maybe it'll get better. I feel sorry for the actors, to be completely honest with you, and the sort of the show producers and things, not producers, sorry, but the crew, because it was pretty well put together. I thought that the sets were quite nice. The CGI is a bit meh, but for a series you can forgive that. I thought the actors were good for what they were being asked to do. I thought Agnia was really great. I think she's very different again. She's tiny in this show. In the book, of course, she's a bloody huge werewolf. Well, no, she's a human being, but turns into a big werewolf. So unless she turns into a poodle, I'm not quite sure how it's going to happen. Carrot also was a bit of a disappointment. It's not difficult to get someone who does have ginger hair, but that's not why he's called Carrot. That was the thing that they pushed really hard in the first episode. They mentioned twice that, you know, Carrot goes, I'm called Carrot not because of the hair, I'm called Carrot because of the shape of my body. And I thought to myself, no, mate. In the book, he's called Carrot because he's wide. He's got big muscles. He's a big boy. They should have called the character in this series, The Watch, Tampon. Because he's a very thin, tall, white guy. That would have worked better than Carrot. Maybe it's too controversial to say that, but certainly would make more sense than a very scrawny actor acting as Carrot. So yeah, I'm not going to give this a mark. I'll carry on watching it just because I bought VPN and stuff, and maybe I'll do a season review of it at the very end as a fan and as someone who's trying to separate himself, which is of course not very easy when the content that you're looking at is something that you absolutely love. If you've watched it, let me know what you think. If you haven't read the books, I'll be very curious, as a matter of fact. Catch you guys later.